That's about it.
And if the newspaper association opposes it, then politicians oppose it too, because they care what the newspaper's saying. That's why it's held up. All right, let's call this meeting to order. Tuesday, June 11th, 2013, at 10 o'clock, begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's have a roll call with attendance, please.
Commissioner Wagner?
I'm here.
Commissioner Spacey?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
And sign the journal. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as outlined.
Second.
Okay, roll call for that, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Spacey?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes. Any old business, Mrs. Wilson?
Just a quick update. I'm still working on the cemeteries. Nikki's been helping me. I have 3 of the 6. They are residing, or were residing in Tiffin. The other 3, we have to do a little deeper, because we can't find their residency. And if they don't have residency, then it does come back on the county. So right now I have 3 that I know are from Tiffin, and the other 3, I actually sent them to our prosecutor this morning. He's got other software that he can look the stuff up on, so
Okay.
he's supposed to. So we're still working on that.
Can we look to see if the concrete is part of the recycling thing, that if that, we can also help that Eagle Scout out, if we can get the grant or the funds for that through the recycling process.
And who were you working with for the stone? Who was the company you were working with?
Welly's Monument. It was one that we got a quote from.
Okay.
And again, it was $200 for the stone and $45 for the foundation. And if we can use the foundation, because there's other foundations that need to be replaced out there.
And that's what he's working on, right?
Yes,
Replacing
the
that
Eagle
stuff.
Scout, but
Yes.
if we can help them with the grant, that will, he's raised $2,500 of what he thinks is gonna be a $5,000 project. If we can, again, use the concrete as recycling, then that will help defray his costs, where he can hopefully complete the job.
I think the fly ash and that, somehow I think that qualifies, but Tim Wasserman would know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yep, I'll call them.
Okay.
That's all I had on all.
Commissioners?
Just update on the fair tent with the Township Association, and which is also with Regional Planning and Fair Housing. Working on getting that updated. Tanya and I went out and looked at it. The Township Association, we can use some of our recycling money because the banner material, we want to replace it's not plywood, I think it's a masonite board. But they get so scratched up because they're so large and the way they get stored, and then they have to be changed. And we can make the banner material where the names are, that's easily changed, and the other part printed. They're not that expensive, and the Township Association would pay for the one that has their name on it. They're in the maybe range of where I'm looking right now, what I found out, and I can get them locally here in town. So we're working on updating that. The information, general information inside that is kind of countywide information. Each Township Association does their own little display. But we're thinking about using the information. I'm working with Tim Wasserman from OSS on just the education materials for the recycling programs. Because last year's fair, they didn't have the recycling program in place yet. It was in the works. Now it's in place. All the townships but the one have containers. So we thought that might be a good way to utilize that space, and that would definitely be something different if people look and come into the tent. And then I have one other idea I hope everybody likes, maybe not. I would like to see us get a all-county elected officials group picture to put in there. He's laughing already. See, that's a simple idea, right?
We had enough trouble getting single pictures.
Yes, yeah, I know, and that's why I thought, a group picture, if not, we'll just Photoshop you in if you don't show up, watch out. But anyway, so I need to kind of figure out a when on that, if we could do it. Keith said he'd take the picture for us, Keith Hodgkinson, and he could bring a ladder, so we don't have to worry about being where we've got steps, that kind of thing. And we need to do it at a time like, 11:45 at 12 at lunchtime for people, and so I've got to put the feelers out a little bit from the other elected officials and see if they would concur. I just think that would be, a nice way of having that together and with it captioned,
Mhm.
so people can put a name and a face together.
Sure.
Everybody is, that kind of thing, so.
I would think sometime that we're all, through the budget process, there's gonna be some time, I would think that everyone's gonna be there.
But
or
the fair's,
some type
but the
of-
fair's the last week of July,
Oh,
so we gotta do it before that. Unless we do the budget process sooner than I thought.
I would think,
When is a most opportune time where you get the majority of, typically the majority of the county officials are there?
I don't know,
Yeah.
and the court schedule will be the one I'd have to, know the most about.
I would
Find
think
out
they
from
could
them.
all step out of their offices for a minute,
Yeah,
Yeah.
noon or something.
Yeah, I'm
Normally,
thinking if
I
we did it right
send
at-
out an email.
yeah, 12 or something like that, and try it.
Just
But,
working around
again, we wanna
vacation.
just, change up a little bit in there to,
Uh-huh.
make it appealing, versus people up and go, yep, same I saw it last year, we want them to have to come in and see
Right,
what's new,
right.
so. And the township associations, like I said, they're liking the idea of seeing something different a little bit, so.
Okay,
Good, good.
That's it on old.
can give free pickles away?
I don't know about that. We'll be in peach season maybe, oh.
Mr. Zoll?
Just a couple things. One is that we, through SIDEC, we're continuing our search for a replacement for, or retiring President Rich Vogt. We've extended out and gathered some leads from Jobs Ohio. We're trying to do is get connections. It may be advisable if we can get the individual for replacement that's got connections with Columbus. And we've had a couple referrals come in, so we're following those down and see if there's an interest for them to apply. And we're also soliciting, members of the community too that think they have a strong hand in economic development and that type of structure to apply for the job. The next issue, I just want to talk briefly about it. And, last week I made the statement at regional planning of my non-support for the $5 license fee tax. I wanted to make sure to clarify that. The reason I cannot support that anymore, because as we look at it, as it unfolded, I see that it's unfair. Not all counties, or not all townships, and not all municipalities would contribute to it. So it doesn't mean that I'm not supportive of some sort of process, but we're investigating other options and other alternatives to look at for potential funding of something. We've got our coalition meeting that's coming up this Friday. We're going to kind of somewhat change the focus. And it's not really for 53. There's a new name. We're going to, not really the Route 53 Coalition. It's more of a Northwest Ohio, and I forget the wording that they're going to use, but it's more encompass all roads, bridges within the 4-county area type thing. And so we're very excited about that. We've got ODOT's going to be there. We've got somebody from the Turnpike Commission's going to be there. We're very hopeful that we have a strong representation of the coalition of the commissioners and engineers from the various counties. So there's a lot of planning that's going on behind the scenes towards that. It's going to be a lot, kind of a listening session, not us sitting down and say, this is what we want, this is what we want, but it's more like, how can we work with ODOT to achieve what collectively we all want to do? And let's look at the common denominators of Ottawa, Seneca, Wyandotte, and Sandusky counties. Let's look at the common denominators there. So that's all part of the process there, but I just wanted to make sure I'm not interested in the funding of the license fee, but we just have to do something that's more equitable to everyone. And I want to thank the commissioners for bringing those points out to me. That I'm not a detailed person, and quickly once I realized the detail part of it, that it's not fair, and I couldn't no longer support that specific thing. I still support the idea of somehow or other we have to fund some major improvements, but how we're going to do it, that we're behind the scenes, that we're working in the various committees with SIDEC and regional planning, highway and transportation.
And that meeting is Thursday morning, the regional.
We have a meeting
planning.
Thursday morning, and that's going to be, we're separating the two. We've got The COG issue, which is more the coalition, we're not dealing with financing in there. Financing is more of a Seneca County issue, and that's where regional planning and SIDEC is coming brainstorming with alternative ideas to, again, it's the old adage, I always like to use, you're a married couple and you want to buy a house. When do you start saving for the house? When you go walk in the bank? Or do you start prior to that to get some money in the bank to eventually be able to go to the bank and say, hey, this is what we want to do and we can put this down on it. So that's the thought process. That I understand there's different ways to skin this cat, but that's what we're looking at.
Now, I see in an email that Holly and I are not on the Regional Planning Transportation Committee, that we were invited to that one Thursday. Do you want us to?
Yeah,
attend that
absolutely.
Thursday?
I would
Okay.
very much, I
Okay.
think that
Okay.
as part of the political process that I'm learning is we have to have buy-in from everyone. This is more of a communicative effort than what it was that I just stood up and I was, I was the messenger. And I think we have to go about it a little differently, and
Well,
so that's what we're looking for. So I would
Trying to-
very much welcome your input on those committees as we go forward.
Okay. I have a family and children first at 8:30, but I ought to be able to be there until close to that time.
I promise to have donuts there.
Oh, wait, that's good. Cream sticks? Cream sticks or just donuts?
7:30.
He doesn't care much.
7:30.
All right. Anything from you, Nicole, in old business?
I was just wondering if you guys, or who all was going to attend the the Farm Bureau Office Policy Development Breakfast on the 21st.
I emailed Donna that we'll be
I will
going that
attend.
day.
Okay.
I
So
think
you'll let her know for me, like I
Yep.
said, or I can email.
And if you have any policy things for them, they kind of want you to present it that day. In the past, I've presented some things, and sometimes they accept it, sometimes they don't, and they take it on further. But if you don't have anything, you can just listen.
Yeah.
Nikki, I believe I responded back to that too.
Okay.
Is that it from you?
That's it.
Okay, new business.
New business. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the ambulance service fund 064, putting $12,000 in contract services. His billing service it's not a January to December. Falls in June, so we have to close this one and open up a new one. So it's just reappropriating money for the remainder of the year. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Bascom Construction Fund 224.
Is that the communication fund?
It says Bascom Construction, what is that? That's
This
sewer.
This says communication on the,
Oh, okay. My resolution says construction.
all right, all right.
Is
We'll
it
go with that one.
communication or construction?
Construction, that's a sewer line. Putting $44,530.66 into contract services. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the poll worker training grant fund 214, putting $120 into salaries, precinct workers. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the annexation petition fund 170 for 2013, putting $1,030 into other expense.
Do we have an annexation coming up?
It was a bookkeeping error back in 2011
Okay.
that we need to, the money's in place, we just got to voucher it back out apparently. So it's nothing new coming up, this is cleaning up the books of 2011. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the recorder equipment fund 156, putting $410 into other expense. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the delinquent real estate tax fund 021, putting $150 into contract services. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the FY13 Community Correction Fund 208, moving $120.74 from flex spending to workers' comp. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Road 14-1.69 superstructure replacement box beams. This is set for Thursday, June 27th, 2013, at 10:30 a.m. here at the Commissioner's Office on 11 Madison Street. Let's see, that one I think is for the hearing for regional.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Okay, is there a motion?
So
Seconded.
Any discussion on any of the items on the table?
this, the one for the annexation petition fund and the recorded equipment fund, I guess I just saw this changed, and this one was attached to it for the 1,030, and it said 410 here, but then, is there two, there was two separate,
Yeah, I think there was two separate.
so there was
Tanya had
two
called.
separate letters.
No, that he did it on one letter. Tanya had a previous conversation with the auditor's office about it. So when we got that letter in, she had to call because something was messed up in the letter, I guess.
Okay,
So she had to get stuff straightened out for it.
okay.
Is it just attached to the wrong one?
It was, yeah, so this goes with, because that was changed to the 410.
Oh, okay.
And I talked to the recorder about that $400. It was with the Ohio Housing Trust Fund. They collect $1 or something for the state on their conveyance fees, and they send it to the state, and somehow it didn't get set at the proper time or something, so this is correcting that.
All right. I just, like I said, I saw that and I thought, was it supposed to have been changed back to the 410, but it was separate?
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Ledford?
Yes. Okay, other new business, Mrs. Wilson?
No.
Nicole? Okay.
Just, I attended the CCAO summer seminar thing on Friday, and a big part of it was the update on the insurance programs, our liability insurance, our health insurance program, so forth. And we have not, I wanted to ask you before, but you were on the phone, we have not done a resolution about our our days for the new, under the Affordable Care Act. We have to do those days, so many days, 120 days of measuring to define the full-time employee.
Okay.
And they were indicating, and I got a call into Ron, that we needed to actually pass a resolution indicating what that time frame is and when we're doing that
Okay.
measuring.
Okay, okay.
So I could call into Ron.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, and say, because we didn't do that. And I was thinking we were gonna measure from April, or May here
Yeah.
for the 4 months, but I guess I don't know for sure where we were at.
And is there a better time to measure than another? I don't know. Do we
Not
have-
necessarily, but you want to have it defined so that you have something to go back to say, no, as long as you've done the measuring,
Uh-huh.
that'll keep you out of trouble, because you
Okay.
might have a rare instance that somebody goes over, but you can prove that we did the measuring during this time frame, and that's
Okay.
where it showed.
Okay.
I mean, there's a reason you want to have it defined, but I didn't know the resolution was needed, but they kept talking about the resolution, and I asked
Okay.
about that, so I thought we'd check on that.
Check on that, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for keeping track of that. So we'll
Yeah.
wait to hear from Ron and
Right, yeah.
follow his recommendation.
Yeah, I'll see what he says. And so-
Okay, great, thank you.
And then WTSC asked me, when I asked him about doing the picture, he would like all three of us to come back on the program
radio.
with him sometime.
Mhm, mhm.
So we'd have to work out a date.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to do some morning of a board session, or.
I think that works best, some
Yeah.
morning of, does that work best
Well,
for you?
absolutely.
Okay, I'll just look at the calendar and then,
8:30 or something like that at
Yeah.
a board session meeting.
yeah, okay. That's it.
You have any new business?
Yeah, just a couple things. A few weeks ago, I mentioned about a public meeting for the Bascom sewer thing of the hookups and so forth, and I had a couple people respond to me that thought it was a good idea. And again, my suggestion, I understand there's been a lot of work that's been done on this. Maybe a lot of people know what's going on over there, but I would think that if we could get the potential contractors over there, where maybe they're willing to offer discounts. And look at an economy of scales. So we have a public meeting and Mark just outlining what's going on and so forth. In the meantime, you could have these vendors or these contractors set up there. And I know each job is gonna be quoted individually, but if they'll say, okay, they're willing to give a 10% discount if they do 4 jobs at a time or so forth there. I would think that could be advantageous to the consumers over at Bascom if they could combine their forces and get better pricing. So I would think this type of group would be as the commissioners, that would be something that we could facilitate. And again, just a meeting for Mark to give an outline. We invite all the contractors in. We suggest to them that, I mean, there's gotta be a savings if I'm a contractor and I'm doing one job, if I come over to do 10 jobs. There's gotta be some savings that I could offer
Yeah.
the individuals, so that they would be willing to make that offer. And then it's up with the homeowner and the contractor to make it out. All we're doing is we're just facilitating the process in a public meeting.
Did he establish a date for, he talked about doing an open house type of event?
That would be a good time to do
And I thought
that.
if you wanted to do that with that, but I would, my concern of us inviting I don't want us to get into something about the whole bid process, even though it's not counting money, but are we gonna get concerned of who we invited and we forgot somebody, are we gonna have to do some kind of legal notice to that? I'm seeing a head shaking over here. I just don't want us to get into something that it's not our game, and I don't wanna get in and then muddy it up a bit because,
We may get opinion from the prosecutor, but, to us, it's just hands off. All we're doing is we're just holding a meeting as far as because again, we'd have to get response from the prosecutor, but I think there is advantages to the consumers over there, again, through economy of scales, versus this guy contracted with the contractor and this guy over making a separate contract and this guy making a separate
right.
contract.
But I would think the contractors would be looking out for that, I would think,
Yeah,
in
well,
in their
but how are they gonna
business.
do it other than through this venue?
With the, does the open house for the plant itself, is that what it was for?
I
kinda-
thought, I
has
don't
that
know,
been-
he mentioned about doing an open house, and I
We
said,
haven't
well,
got anything yet, but I can ask him.
and I just kind of wondered then if that'd be a time,
Then we put
unless
a
that's gonna
notice-
be too late, I don't know.
Put a notice
what
in
he
the
was thinking.
paper, all potential contractors that are approved to attend this meeting,
Will be invited.
invited, and that's up to them to put their deals together. I mean, I know if I was a contractor, I'd want to set up a little booth and offer a discount if I had, X amount of projects going on, to try to entice people to come my way.
I guess I don't know, because I don't know the contractor's line of work in terms of how many of them, there's probably a lot of them qualified to do this, but how many of them, their work schedule now is they want to do this work, or they don't, or they,
Then they don't show up.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Would it, am I hearing that if, I don't know when this open house is gonna be scheduled, but we could invite the contractors to that to say, this is gonna be an outside open house, has to be if it's at the plant.
yeah, I don't.
Is there a meeting?
More of an
hall?
open
Well, I
house
mean, we
slash
probably could get-
information night, I mean, maybe, maybe there's a better term for it, but he mentioned that when he was here, and I just,
I'm a little leery of having a big public meeting, because you just put yourself front and center on the hot seat. Anything that didn't go right, you're gonna take a bunch, but that's what we're here for,
Yeah,
I understand, but unnecessarily putting yourself front and center. I think it's a good idea to connect them with the contractors somehow. If we have the open house, we could invite the contractors to set up somewhere, even if it's outside, if it's a
I mean, I'm
decent
sure
day,
that
would be a
Meadowbrook, the ballroom, they would allow them to,
or a shelter or something.
or a shelter, that's right, or a shelter or something, and just suggest it to the contractors.
Uh-huh.
And then from then on, they gotta take the lead. It's not our ball then. All we're doing is we're just facilitating something.
Do you want to work with Mark to do that, or do you want one of the staff to work with Mark to do that? Okay.
We need
Good.
something else to do too. I'll be glad to help you in any way, but I mean, really very simple. A notice in the paper, once they have the open house.
Where? Who?
I think it would save money. I mean, I know if I was a contractor, I'd love to have 10 jobs versus one job.
What I'm picturing is the open house, if I'm picturing this right, the contractor's invited to set up wherever, and we don't really come in with a speech or
Yeah.
any really saying, it would be there to answer questions if somebody wants to grab us, and I do have one from a family in Bascom that I referred to Mark this morning, so.
Well, Mark would be the one that would really be outlining, if he could do it as he had the open house of the facility, and then if there's any new residents over there, or just outlining when the thing's gonna start, and he's really gonna facilitate the meeting. All we are is just creating the venue.
Okay. All right, can you work with Mark to try
Yeah.
and set that up?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Lastly, and I continue to hear this over and over and over I've heard it's been an issue for years, the EMS. I know that, you know, we've got Mr. Majors, and I hear very, very good things about him. I think that we need to at least start a process of how the EMS is gonna look in the next 5 years.
And I know
I
he's
have
working
no
on some
idea.
things when I
I mean,
talked to him.
I don't know anything about EMS, but I think, I continue to hear it's a problem. And so I think we need to at least start addressing that problem of having a committee formed and then have the committee make recommendations, and let's start
Well, he's-
looking down the road.
He's got his coordinators, a group, and I don't know if he's got us, we just talked about the other day, I was gonna ask him if he actually has a smaller group that's doing, someone's looking, but I know he presented some ideas to me, talking about VIP programs and things to, he knows that down the road, it can't just continue as is, but the defined problem, the number one issue is having enough volunteers and having squads that have to call off, you know, or out of service at certain times, and that repeatedly is happening in some areas. And so that is the biggest problem, but yet I think otherwise things seem to be rolling along pretty well. And the thing is, he is on top of it, knowing that he's got to get something figured out down the road, that we can't just wait until it gets worse or anything like that. But it's not that services
that's
isn't
something
being
we wanna-
provided, that kind of a thing, but, you know, you don't want to.
I think the
Get some
group
points.
you're talking about is in place, it's the coordinators, each of the 7 squads has a head guru coordinator, and they meet regularly, and I know Ken has some things he wants to present to us, but he has to talk to the trustees first. And these are run by the coordinators,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah, he
but I
said
don't
he's-
think it's
he's
run
been to
by
some
by
of
the
the trustees.
He doesn't want to have something said in public before he talks to the trustees.
Okay, if there's something going on behind the scenes, I'm fine with that.
I mean, he's working
I'm just-
on stuff.
I just want to make sure that we're not the day of reckoning, all of a sudden we have to do something. We need to advance plan. And
Yep,
for-
yep.
As long as this is
I don't want that.
progressing, and that's just,
Well, he said in
Talking.
He said in board the other day, there can be some reappropriation of money. He felt some money was being appropriated, not at its best use. And he was going to, maybe that was one of the days you weren't here, that could have been, that might have been a day that you weren't here. And he's gonna try and work it through a process and get back with us. So I feel pretty comfortable. I mean, EMS is very fragile in this county. But
It's
I
important.
feel comfortable that it's heading the right direction with Ken in charge, and I think he's gonna come back with some recommendations, not silver bullets, but just the fact that he got a new paramedic at Green Springs is huge. That was
Yeah.
a huge improvement. Good point. We need to stay on top of it.
I just want to be progressive at it. I don't want to wait until
And
we're
I-
ready to fall off the cliff there.
And I think a private conversation with Ken might be a good idea, if you wanted to just call
Okay,
Ken and
good
say,
idea,
hey, where
good
do you
idea.
think we're at this point? Okay, anything else in new business?
Nope, thank you.
Nicole, new business? Okay, we do have a bid opening here, in just a few moments. Does anybody have any public comment before that? Yes.
On this concrete deal for the cemetery. I know they're talking about getting stone and sand. This might sound stupid, but if you buy stone and sand, would that still be considered concrete for
The foundation.
foundation? I mean, for the,
To use the recycled money, it has to be a certain percent of recycled material, and I don't know if that would make it that way or not.
see where I'm coming
Yeah.
from? I mean, is it the same as getting a truck with ready mix in it?
Yeah. And he probably couldn't get a truck, could he? He couldn't pour them that fast, he couldn't do
Well, I
work
don't
that.
know. I don't know. But I just wanted to bring that
I don't know
up.
either, they have to work with Tanya on, she's kind of our coordinator of
Recycled content.
recycled content stuff.
But
That might be
Tim
a-
Wasserman will be the,
Well, yeah, she works with Tim, but I don't know, because it has to be some percent
25%.
recycled. How much?
25%.
25% recycled. If they got sand out of everybody's litter box, it's like.
I just thought I'd bring it up or whatever. At least it's moving in the right direction.
Any more public comment?
I got a question. Anybody here know how that state Route 12 intersection with 53 was was funded? Was there any local money went into that? There's a pretty nice project right there, and that could happen any place along this road. And if the state could afford to do it over there, they sure as heck should be able to afford to do it other places.
Right there
Without
at Farm
having to
Market.
milk the people from the county that have been paying, the counties that have been paying gas taxes and license taxes all along. If that got paid for without any local funding, then why in the heck can't they do it somewhere else? You know,
That'd be a tough one, because what municipality would that help the most? It's out in the middle of nowhere.
well, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, would Fremont or Sandusky, I
I think
mean,
it's Nusky County, but
yeah, I don't know.
I would guess ODOT did
I would
that.
guess ODOT paid for it, but I
You know,
remember
if they
going
can do
in,
it
I
there,
can tell you
why
the
can't they
years.
do it other places, you know what I'm saying? Of course, that's a state route intersection too. That's something to
Yeah,
think
state route,
about.
state route,
Even so, it,
but that's,
I think it's a pretty decent way they done it.
Oh,
It can
yeah.
happen in other places along the road, probably fairly easily along the stretch between Upper and
What was something
Port
like that
Clinton.
cost? I mean, they did a nice job at 12 and 53 there.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I was wondering how much local county funding went into that.
I would guess none, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
if they could do that without it, and none, why the heck can't they do the whole thing on there? Because it's been sitting there for years, and they're talking about access for the turnpike and everything like that, and it sure the devil would improve that. And get on these guys from ODOT and just tell them, hey, you guys, we're sitting here for years, we've been paying your taxes all along, and haven't been getting anything back out of it. If we was at the southern edge of Toledo or something like that, it would be bouncing on like mad. It probably
We have
wouldn't be
a-
needed any worse.
We have kind of a delicate balance that we have to deal with Friday. We can't be too combative with them.
I understand
Because
that.
all of a sudden, they are making some incrementally improvements on 53 now. I mean, it may not be at the level we want, but they are making some improvements, so if we get too combative with them,
I'm not
our
saying-
engineer's concern is all of a sudden they could just back up and say, you
Get
can't do
combative.
anything.
I'm saying you gotta get combative, just ask them where the money comes from and why, over all these years, that they couldn't find funding for the rest of it, even though we're a small population community, and we still have paid taxes for years, and, you know, went somewhere else, you know, why not have some of them come back to this area? Amen.
Okay, thank you. All right, it's 10:32, so we have a bid opening for the chip seal program for 2013. And we have a sign-in sheet that's gonna go around.
Looks like I got 4 of them. This is for the 2013 Seneca County Chip Seal Program. Engineer's estimate. Is $616,926. 616,926.00. First bid is Erie Blacktop out of Sandusky, Ohio. Total bid amount for the project, $559,591.78. 559,591.78. Second bid is from Witta Construction out of Fostoria, Ohio. Total bid amount for this project, $534,916.14. 534,916.14. Next bid is Henry W. Bergman Incorporated out of Genoa, Ohio. Total bid amount, $539,899.47. 539,899.47. Next bid is Lloyd Porter and Porter out of Edison, Ohio. Total bid amount, $572,021.12. 572,021.12. And that's the last one I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to all the bidders for bidding. We do appreciate you looking into this and bidding for us. We will refer these to the county engineer. He'll give us a recommendation, and we will follow his recommendation at a later date. Okay.
Will you folks be sending out bid tabs?
If you want one, we can send a bid tab, sure.
Yeah.
Get your information to either Stacy or Tanya out there, and we'll send you bid tab.
Thank you kindly.
Okay, now we have the second public hearing for community development block grant. Joe, we're glad you could be with us. I understand it was questionable, but thankfully you could make it.
I also have a sign-in sheet that I'm going to pass around if you could all please sign that. Oh, I should have started up here, I guess. Sorry.
This is the first public hearing on the CDBG.
This is the second.
Second.
Yeah, where we lay out all the projects
Okay.
that are going to be happening with this, or these grants, I guess.
Thank you.
Just make you feel yes, please. Thank you. Okay, Seneca County intends to apply to the Ohio Development Services Agency, Office of Community Development, for funding under the Community Development Program, which is a federally funded program administered by the state. Seneca County is eligible for $114,000 of fiscal year 2013 CDBG allocation funding, provided the county meets certain program requirements. In addition to that, then Seneca County is eligible to apply for competitive set-aside programs for critical infrastructure of up to $300,000 and neighborhood revitalization of up to $300,000. On February 26, 2013, the first public hearing was conducted to inform the citizens about the CDBG programs, how they may be used, what activities are eligible, and other important program requirements. Based on both citizen input and local officials' assessment of county needs, Seneca County is proposing to undertake the following activities for fiscal year 2013. CDBG allocation program, project number 1, public rehab in the City of Fostoria City Building. The activity number 1 is ADA doors to be installed. The dollar amount for that is $9,500, and the national objective is to benefit limited clientele. Project number 2 under the allocation program is for street improvements in the village of Bloomville. They actually have 3 different activities going into this project, being street improvements, approximately 363 linear feet. Activity number 2 is sidewalk and curb improvements, approximately 464 linear feet. Activity number 3, flood and drainage, catch basin replacement with 2 of them. The total of that project to be $40,000, and this is to benefit low to moderate income persons, national objective also. Project number 3, street improvements in the village of Bettsville. Activity number 1, there's only one activity on this one, and that's culvert replacement. The estimated amount on that is $41,700 to benefit low to moderate income persons is the national objective also. And the Fair Housing Administration piece of that portion of the allocation program is $22,800. The county determined 3 alternative projects to be listed as well in the application. Those are alternative project number 1, public rehab, Seneca County Services Building, repaving the parking lot, county-wide area benefit for $56,202 was the estimate for that project, and that's to benefit low to moderate income persons. Alternate project number 2 is public rehab, Seneca County Job and Family Services Building, repaving the rear parking lot, county-wide area benefit. The dollar amount on that project was estimated at $32,443.50. That's to benefit low to moderate income persons as well. Alternative project number 3, public rehab. That's at the Seneca County Job and Family Services Building, repaving the front parking lot, countywide area benefit. And that also is to benefit low to moderate income persons. And the dollar amount estimated for that project is $28,625.50. Total for all of the projects that are outlined to be included in the application, the county's allocation is $114,000, so that's what the total amount is that is being applied for under that that grant. Are there any questions or comments on that grant application? Okay.
This is a public hearing first, so it's for the public to comment, not
Yes.
just the commissioners.
Yes. No public comment then. I'll move on to the next program then. Critical Infrastructure Competitive Set-Aside Program. The project for the critical infrastructure is in the village of New Regal. It's for street improvements, and that is $280,000 to benefit low to moderate income persons with administration of $20,000 for a total of $300,000 to go into that application. At this time then, I would open it up to any public questions or comments, if there are any.
I've got just a question. And maybe I wrote it down wrong, but I thought after we did the fair housing stuff, that was gonna leave the Bettsville one at 47. I guess I just had in my head that we knew it was above the 50% of what they originally had asked for, and it's at 41.7, not 47. And that totals up to your total is correct, but I just didn't know.
The 47 was what the lesser admin amount was proposed at, and I talked to John DeBruns the other day, or yesterday actually also, he called me.
Okay.
And let him know that that is the max for the Fair Housing and Administration. After that discussion that day, it was determined to go with a higher amount on the Fair Housing Administration portion for all the grants.
Okay.
And so the maximum is that 22.8, which brings Bettsville's down to the
Okay.
41.7, but knowing that if we don't use all that, that'll go back into the projects.
Okay.
So
Right. And he's below 50%, but he's still okay.
He's okay with that
Okay.
still, he said.
I just want to make sure it wasn't transposed, because the numbers are close, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
guess that's a good question. In our discussion, in my recollection, we talked about going to the higher admin. I thought it was just for the 2 additional ones, not for the 114,000. For the
Critical
Astoria and-
infrastructure and the,
Yeah,
Well, the
yeah.
admin amounts on the other 2 were already, they were already proposed at the 20,000 for the one, the 30,000 for the other. So those were already there. Those were the dollar amounts for those projects. That's the max we can go for on those. We
Yeah.
couldn't increase those any.
Right.
But then the other piece was we weren't asking for the full amount of the allocation program, but knowing that if it's not used, it would go back into,
That was my misunderstanding then, because I was talking going to the max on the critical infrastructure and the stable neighborhood, whatever it was.
Okay. revitalization.
versus the block grant. I thought we were going to stick with the proposed amount of the block grant because that's what we've done in the past, and it will take away from a project, most likely, if we,
Yeah, if we use it.
what was your understanding?
I thought we were gonna go to the max, and then if it's not used, we could then put it back
Yes.
for the project.
Right.
You're better off to do that than find out that the admin fees are gonna run over what we thought they were gonna be, and then we don't have any recourse. This way, we start out high and we bring it down and bring it back to the specific project. That was my understanding.
Will we know that in time to help any of the projects, though? You know, I mean, by the time
Yes.
the admin, you would know.
Yes, this is gonna be a 2-year program. If we get funded for all of it, or even one of the set-asides, it's gonna make all of them the same time frame. So, yes, we'll know that.
Anything else from the board on that? Okay, proceed.
Okay. Moving on then to neighborhood revitalization competitive set-aside program. Project number 1 in the city of Fostoria, sidewalk improvements. That is estimated around $90,000, and that's to benefit low to moderate income persons. Project number 2 in the city of Fostoria, street improvements. Estimated around $90,000 to benefit low to moderate income persons. And then project number 3 in Fostoria, demolition, estimated at $90,000 to benefit low to moderate income persons as well. Administration then of $30,000 on that one, for a total grant application of $300,000 for neighborhood revitalization. So then at this time, we can open it up to any public questions or comments.
Can this still be changed, or is this inked in stone now?
Once your resolution is done, then you need to just do a new resolution to change it. With the grant application deadline is the 21st, so we'll have to have it done at the latest next Tuesday. So,
And we discussed, these projects, we're gonna take before and after pictures. I think that's
Yes.
something that,
yes, and we have some before already that they submitted with the applications, but the ones that didn't, we will get some of those also. Because we'll have to have them when we submit to the state, we'll have to show those photos in the state application.
Jeff, I guess I'm trying to understand your thought process. I'm not disagreeing with it, I'm just trying to understand it. Your understanding was that the CDBG, the admin for the 114 was somewhat less.
Somewhat less, yeah.
Somewhat less. You agree with the admin for the critical infrastructure and the neighborhood revitalization, the 50,000 there, but but again, is that the same thing in the CDBG? If you don't use that admin, that can be put back towards these projects?
Yes.
Would you increase each of them incrementally? Let's say if you didn't use the total admin fees for the CDBG.
Then we would apply it where it is appropriate. So.
At our discretion, as
Yeah.
long as it's within.
Well, it would depend on each of those programs and how much admin has been used out of
Okay.
each of those separate
Oh,
programs.
so you keep your admin fees separately, or you,
Well, each
you-
of these are 3 separate grants, so each of them will be 3 separate funds. They'll be tracked and everything will be done. They'll all be broken out separately, I do believe. I don't think that we can mix those funds together in the same fund and just have different lines. I think that would be too confusing.
I recall the admin fees for the CDBG, I don't see it listed here. Where's it at?
About the middle of the page. Says fair housing. Right before the alternate
Okay, the
projects.
22.8?
Yep.
And the reason that that amount was changed is because of the discussion that you had that day, that we were talking about the admin, and you agreed to go for the max, and then what wasn't used to apply it to the projects. The only place that it wasn't maxed was on the allocation program.
Well, I either misunderstood or didn't make myself clear, but I was okay with the max on the critical infrastructure and the neighborhood stable revitalization. But I do think it should be a minimum. As you know, I'm not a fan of the fair housing grant by
Yes.
any stretch. And I think this is a service that we provide to the various communities that we do this for. What was your original proposal, was 20,000 or 18,000 or
I
something?
didn't bring my original with me. Do you happen to have it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
So my total that I was asking was 67 total between all three, so
Okay.
17 it would have been.
Would have been
on-
17.
Yeah, on
rather
the,
than 20.
yeah. Which was a total of 9% overall.
I'm more comfortable at 17, because that's what we had done in past years, correct?
It's less
That
than the
percent.
amount, I've reduced it a little bit every single year, and this is about $800, I think, approximately right in that range, less than the previous year. It'll have more projects than the previous year did also, so there will be more work
More work
involved.
to it.
I'm guessing I was in the same understanding, I can't define it that well, I just had the note that the Betsville project would end up being at 47 after the fair housing
Yeah.
funding, because it had to be allocated, was put in.
47.5.
Yeah, and so that's what threw me off, because that's the figure I looked at, yeah, and that would have, so that must have been the understanding I had as well, but just from what, I didn't write down the conversation. So,
Do you wish to have her change it?
so that makes us just change the resolution, is that all we have to do?
Basically?
We haven't approved it yet, I have it drafted out, but
Okay,
we
we do
can,
approve today.
we can change it.
I would recommend that we change it.
Okay, I think that was the understanding we had last week. That's the understanding I had
Yeah.
last week.
I think it was just, I thought the conversations just got all pulled into one, so, I mean, I was the understanding that all the projects we were going to
Okay,
ask, but
okay.
that's just what I,
Yep, yep.
my interpretation of that, the way you guys were
We
discussing
could probably
it.
watch the tape and still come up with our own.
Did-
thing.
yeah.
Well, again, it's a moot point, because what admin fees aren't used can be put back, but I always like to run a tight budget. Because if you got it, you typically spend it.
And somebody's gonna eat, either it's gonna be Betsville, or it's gonna be regional planning. Somebody's gonna pay the extra cost on that, and then I'm sorry, but I'd rather it be regional planning. Is that possible? I guess that's why we have these public
Yes,
hearings.
yeah, and,
Okay.
and I was only asking for the 67
Right,
total
right.
of all three, and
Mhm.
then, like I said, and I had the same understanding Stacy did after the last meeting when you voted to go for the max. I thought you were talking about the max that I was proposing
Okay.
to be the full admin all the way across the board, so
Okay. Well,
I
we-
apologize for that misunderstanding also.
Well, we apologize because we didn't say it right or
Okay.
say it correctly. Okay.
If that can be corrected,
Mhm.
and it's not gonna fall us out of
No,
the
because it's
format,
not.
then I would suggest that we do it.
Okay, let's do that then, and we can either sign it then at our, I don't know if we can sign it at our ditch hearing, or we can sign it
We
next
could
year.
just, we can do it now, if you just change the figures, we can still,
We could still do
This
it,
is just
have
by
to- Just have
resolution.
to type up the new page,
Yeah.
yeah.
That-
That's fine, that's fine.
pretty much just need the title anyway.
$47.5 was that Betsville
Yes.
amount, right?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
Yep.
We have a resolution, approval of projects and amounts for the CDBG FY 2013 Community Development Allocation Program, Critical Infrastructure Program, Neighborhoods Revitalization Grant Program, and authorizing the current president to the Board of Seneca County Commissioners to sign the application to be submitted for for the county CDBG FY13 Community Development Allocation Program, Critical Infrastructure Program, and Neighborhoods Revitalization Grants, and the amounts have been adjusted to your request.
All right, is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
Reprint
Okay,
it.
roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
So are we changing this here to,
Is that 17, is that what that
Yep.
middle figure is?
Yep,
Okay.
17,047.5.
17 even?
Mhm.
And then that increases the
Bettsville.
41,700 to, no. Where's
47.
Bettsville? Bettsville. Okay, to what, 47.5?
Yes.
Yep.
So this one I signed, I guess, is wrong, or did you?
That
not-
doesn't have, let me change the back of that. Oh, you changed it. So we're okay with that.
Okay,
If you would just initial next to
Yeah,
those
that's what I
changes,
did.
and I will also.
okay.
So we only need one?
I only need one in the president's signature on the one for the file.
And did you send this hard copy over, or do we have a electronic?
Electronic.
Do we have it?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll just
Yeah.
reprint it with the right amounts and have them sign that.
Okay. And then if I might just close
Sure,
the hearing. Due to the citizens' participation policy, anyone wishing to voice a complaint must do so in writing to the Seneca County Commissioners, and they will respond within 10 days of receiving the complaint. All complaints will be forwarded to the Ohio Development Services Agency for review. The grant applications are due to the Ohio Development Services Agency, Office of Community Development by Friday, June 21st at 5 p.m. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much for the hearing, appreciate it. And for your work following through this. Now we're complete on this process.
Yes.
But other than obviously
Some other,
doing the work.
I will need to send over some other legislation that's required
Okay.
for the grant application process, which you've seen that in the past.
Mhm.
I just need a signature on that one at some point. First public hearing, I didn't bring that over after the hearing to have you sign.
And I read in the paper this morning that the city is also,
Thank you.
they can apply for the same 3 grants. I say, community infrastructure,
Yes.
or those 2 issues, and also the CDBG. They have the same 300,000, 2 grants.
Availability.
And then what was, I guess, the CDBG, that varies from community to
Their
community.
allocation, yes, it varies. Mhm.
For the other two, we'll be basically competing against them, correct? And everybody else in the state that's applying.
Mhm. And the maximum on those 2 competitive set-asides that the county is applying for, and then I think the city is only going for the 2. There's actually a third one you can do. It's downtown revitalization. That requires a lot more planning and a lot more stuff to go into the application. But those are all maxed at 300,000 each.
Is it kind of a rubber stamp from the state, or do they weed out 50% of them, 20% of them? I mean, what's typically it?
They have rating criteria and depends on where you score. And these are new projects, these are all new programs for them. And when I've asked them questions, they've even said to me, we're not sure because we've not done these before, they're all new. So it'll just depend on how high you rate on the application.
The CDBG is not new, that's been
No,
around for
no,
years.
No, the
So we get that
allocation.
Formula.
Yeah, it used to
Well, the
be,
formulation is,
We get, based on population, and we get X number of dollars.
and they used to call it formula. They've changed it now and they're moving towards allocation program instead of the formula. But they still use that formula base to determine where you're at.
For these other two, there's X number of dollars, and you're duking it out with everybody else.
So,
can we lobby? Can you lobby for these to,
Well, it would be, it's in this, what do you call it, rating system. You get so many points because it's LMI, so many points because it's,
if you
I
have
don't know.
leverage, so whatever leverage you're putting into it, so if there's that other funding that would be coming into it, like over in Fostoria, one of the things that is gonna benefit them in that application is the demolition Moving Ohio Forward funds. We can use those, the money that we're using over there to do some demolition, we can use those as leverage on this application. They also have leverage from CHIP. They're doing some things with the CHIP program, and that money in those target areas can be used as leverage also. So those are additional points that you get, I know, for leverage.
And that's Bettsville, I believe, is putting some funds towards it. Is that what you mean by leverage?
Yes.
The funds that they, or
But-
New Rigo, okay.
Yeah.
That's putting some funds in towards the project. That's
Yes.
what you're calling leverage.
Right.
I don't know even know who we would lobby. I don't think a lobby is,
I don't know.
I don't think that accomplishes anything. I think it's all in a scoring system,
Mhm.
but. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your sign-in sheet, is that one yours, or is that the?
No, I haven't.
Did we sign yours, or did we need to?
I think you need to.
'Cause I only signed one, I don't know which
Yeah.
one we signed, but sorry.
Was there any more public comment this time? Anything else from the board?
I want to know if your wife's taking us to dinner today.
She's gonna take me up to Fremont real quick to a bicycle shop. We got a big bike.
I might
shop.
just get my
I was looking for lunch.
I might not even get my own dinner, so.
Couple of announcements, a lot of meetings coming up. Community Improvement Corporation meeting tomorrow, 10 o'clock here. That's not our meeting. Litchfield needs that meeting, but we're all three on that, so we'll all be here for that. Joint ditch resolution meeting here at 1 o'clock. That is our meeting with Crawford County. And at 1:05 with Sandusky County, and that was sent out with the agenda. I won't be here next week, but in 2 weeks, just as a reminder, we have the 10 o'clock, regular 10 o'clock time is just that Heidelberg bonding issue. And then
Public hearing.
7:30, yeah, public hearing, and then 7:30 in the evening in Attica is our regular meeting that night, so.
Do they have it at the
Yeah, we-
township, same place they have the township meetings over there?
So where was
In
that?
Venice Township?
They're having
Dennis?
it at the, it's right across from where the drive-through is at, where they do their
Oh, so it's in
meetings.
Attica, not out where the township garage is.
Across from the drive-through.
It's right when you turn,
Is that the municipal building? Is that?
I don't know, they could call it that, it's where
Okay.
the police station is.
Police station. Oh, yeah, it's the municipal building. All right, very good. We'll have to get an address when we send out that notice.
Yeah, I think she gave me a sticky note on the address. I'll give it.
Okay, I guess that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Recess.
Recess.
Oh, yeah, those
We're
two.
gonna recess until 1 o'clock?
and
Okay,
1:05.
all right. Well, then we'll recess till 1 o'clock to our joint ditch hearing.